Developing tonight, the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office says it has arrested someone for a threat against Hackett Public Schools. Detectives able to trace the messages to a juvenile who they believe sent them. Sheriff's Office says the person threatened shooting at the town school. Sheriff's Office says they're still investigating these threats, and students and staff can expect the increased law enforcement presence around the school starting tomorrow morning. Firefighters, meanwhile, in Fort Smith called to a trash fire that got a bit out of control tonight. Viewers sent us this video of the smoke coming from the fire near the intersection of Kavanaugh and Jenny Lind in South Fort Smith. Firefighters say no one was hurt. There was no property damage. Now at 10, we're breaking down new developments surrounding concerns of contamination in Fort Smith involving the old Fort Smith Whirlpool plant. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach explains.
The Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality, ADEQ, is calling for more testing around the old Whirlpool plant in Fort Smith. Whirlpool closed its Fort Smith refrigerator plant in 2012. The following year, the company admitted to leaking trichloroethylene into the soil and groundwater. Then in 2015, the engineering firm Ramble was hired to monitor and clean the site, including injection wells to break down chemicals. For years, Ramble submitted semi-annual reports. Last year, the company said there was no risk to the public, saying they, quote, have not identified any complete exposure pathways in the residential area. But state environmental officials say that is not the case. They say underground chemical plumes are still expanding and additional monitoring wells are needed to learn the extent of the situation. ADEQ also reports an error in Ramble's report about the indoor air data. While some chemicals exceed screening levels, Whirlpool conducted an indoor air risk assessment, which found levels are still within the EPA's allowable range for workers, according to Energy and Environment. State officials say there is no current health risk to residents. Ramble has 30 days to respond to the state's August 15th request for more testing. Claire Everbach, 5 News.
All right, Claire, thanks. A Fayetteville man facing charges in the death of his infant child will not be back in court until December. Jacob Kraus was supposed to be in court for a hearing on Friday of this week. Judge granting the continuance to give the state crime lab more time as it processes evidence in this case. Kraus is charged with capital murder in the child's death. He remains behind bars on a $15 million bond. Now that a new school year is in full swing, it might be a good time to do a mental checkup with your child. Tonight, a local mental health expert tells us what to look for with not only your child, but yourself.
It's a huge change for both the parent, for both the child, and that can lead into a lot of different emotions.
Sage Small is a mental health counselor at the Guidance Center in Fort Smith. The biggest thing to look for, she says, is changes in your child's daily behavior.
If we're seeing our child come home from school and they're not wanting to talk about it or not wanting to share, that can be normal. If we're seeing something develop that has not happened before, that would be where we can, open up our child to questioning. Like, hey, how was your day? Did you make a new friend? Did you meet anybody? What'd you eat for lunch? I mean, very basic questions, but it allows that social connection as well. And then, of course, always talking to the teacher if we continue to see any additional concerns.
She says there are so many things parents can do to make the child feel more comfortable at school. For starters,
sometimes using objects like a necklace or a piece of clothing or something they can put in their pocket, touching that and knowing like, hey, this is a connection to somebody I care about. That could be a way that you can alleviate those anxiety items.
Small says parents can also help themselves cope with this major change by getting involved with your child's school.
How can you connect with other moms or other dads or grandparents who may be going through the same experiences? Our parent-teacher associations are fantastic ways to plug back into our school and give back, and also kind of have a way of checking on our kids, during the day.
Bottom line, Small says don't be afraid to talk to your child about school.
We're having different experiences. And so making sure that we're talking about those, that we're sharing it, that we're connecting on it, even from a parental side of sharing our experiences in school, where we struggled, where we didn't, especially with teenagers, that can be a really important conversation.
You can hear more from my conversation with Sage by going to our website, 5newsonline.com, clicking on the Community Spotlight tab at the top of the homepage. Well, this Labor Day, thousands of people across the country joined together to protest what they say they believe to be unfair practices toward workers. In Fayetteville, protesters lined the streets of Joyce Boulevard near the Northwest Arkansas Mall. Groups also gathered in Fort Smith, Harrison, Hot Springs, Jonesboro, and Little Rock.
Because we want a country that's more fair, more inclusive, and really more democratic. A country that looks out for its workers, a country that thinks that workers matter.
In Minnesota today, gun control advocates gathered outside the state capitol building calling for changes after that deadly shooting last week at the Catholic church and school. Organizers say they're asking state lawmakers to hold a special session focused on bans for high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. Shooting at Annunciation Church and School took the lives of 2 children and injured many others and elderly parishioners. The shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot. No motive has been revealed for the shooting just yet, but FBI Director Kash Patel says it's being investigated as a hate crime against Catholics.